Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
The story of Ali. Hey everybody, Joe Simons, like diamonds. Back again with Salt Strong Unchurched. Got a fun story to share with you, a powerful story, a story I think we all need to hear and maybe even rehear, because I believe I heard this story before that I'm about to share in the past. I heard it again recently and I started taking notes. I was like, I got to share this with the audience. This would be perfect for Unchurched, because regardless if you're going through this right now or not, and I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, you're going to have to hear the story. But at some point, all of us, if not every week, we're challenged with this, go through these feelings. And if you're not, I guarantee someone in your life is, whether it's a spouse or a loved one, child, kid, parent, grandparent, coworker, etc. So the story of Ali, it's from a story called Acres of Diamonds by Russell Conwell. Russell Conwell was a preacher and an educator. He actually was the one who started Temple University there in Philadelphia. And Conwell traveled all over the place, loved writing little stories and parables, and this is a really, really powerful one. So let's talk about Ali, shall we? So Ali was a very wealthy man. So this guy already had wealth, and he had a beautiful family. And one day, a priest made a visit to this old farmer, to Ali, and he spent the day with him, telling Ali all about the beauty and the value of diamonds. How interesting. Simon's like diamonds. So Ali ended up growing so infatuated and so engrossed with the thought of having his own diamond mine that seeds of discontentment grew in his heart. Even though he had wealth already, he was already a wealthy person. He wasn't the richest man in the world, but he already had wealth. He was fine. He didn't need to go work anymore any harder. He had a beautiful family that loved him. For most of us, he had everything that he needed, yet because he now learned about these diamonds, he couldn't stop thinking about it. It got so bad, he sold his farm to a stranger, sold everything, literally sold everything to have enough cash to go on this journey to find diamonds. He actually left his family too. So he walked away from his family, left them with one of the neighbors, and set off on a lifelong quest to find more diamonds. And after searching several countries, he had gone through every dime that he had. He was now broke. He had nothing to show for it. And he was sitting there completely in rags, looking like a homeless person, because he essentially was, in Barcelona, Spain. And he took his own life. He committed suicide. Family never saw him again. Life was over. Tragic story, right? But the saddest part is yet to come. So soon after Ali had left Persia to go on this quest, the guy that he sold his property to, this farm, had a camel, and he had taken the camel down to a little garden brook to have a drink. There's a little shallow water right there. And while the camel was drinking, the new owner who bought the farm from Ali saw this kind of shiny looking stone down there in the brook. So he picked it up, thought it was very beautiful. He polished it, didn't know what it was, and put it over a mantle on the fireplace. Shortly after, that same priest who went to visit Ali visited this guy and said, "Hey, where did you find that up on the mantle?" And the guy's like, "Oh, that was just a cool rock that I found over on the brook." And the priest, who recognized it immediately, he's like, that's a diamond. He's like, "Show me where you found it." And so they begin to sift through some of the sands there in the garden around that brook, and they found another and another and another and another. Beneath Ali's farm sat the greatest diamond mine in the entire country. The crown jewels of England and Russia would end up coming from that mine. It was the largest discovery of a diamond mine in the world at the time. As you probably already know, the moral of the story is that if Ali had simply stayed home and worked in his garden, he would have found acres of diamonds. What he was looking for all along was right in front of him, was right underneath him every single day. And so the main application here that probably a lot of us struggle with is we're always thinking that grass might be greener on the other side. If I only had this job, or if I only had their money, or if I only had that hot-looking spouse, if I only had that big house, if I only had that nicer boat. And I've done it countless times, right? Just when you get something nice. Even when we bought this nice new house, I'm like, it's old. If only we had their house, we'd be happier. No, like we spend so much time thinking grass is greener on the other side, and we miss so many blessings right in front of us. We miss the acres of diamonds underneath us and right there in front of us. And, I'm not suggesting that you go dig up your backyard or even that, that wealth is the answer, that diamonds are all of a sudden going to make you happy. The irony is, even if he had found all those diamonds, who knows if Ali would have even been happier or not. We will never know the end of the story. But the worst thing you could do is go on search of something, to get to the other side where the grass might be greener, only to find out that it's not, while alienating your own family. I mean, the fact that he left them at home while he went on his journey and committed suicide is it's horrible. And, it reminds me a lot of what these younger kids are going through. In social media is probably, and not just younger kids now, everyone, adults as well, but younger kids in particular, because at least when we were younger, we were shielded from a lot of the stuff. Now kids are getting to see everything, and people are growing up quicker than ever before and getting plastic surgery quicker than ever before and changing sex faster than ever before. They're, photoshopping their own pictures. Teenagers are, to make themselves look more beautiful and putting it up there, and then everyone's comparing themselves to them, and it's not even the real person. I mean, it's crazy what I'm just looking at my young daughter who's 14 as a teenager, the stuff that she's dealing with that I don't even know how to speak to her on some of it. But a lot of it comes down to that thought of, oh man, if I only had this, or if I only had, was born into this family or had this nice car or whatever it is. There's so much of that going on, and it coincides with suicide rates are the highest they've ever been amongst teenagers, and same with anxiety and panic attacks. I mean, we're talking crazy all-time highs with all this, and yet so much of the real wealth is right there at home. I mean, if you have a family at all, you were incredibly wealthy. There's so many people that don't even have that. And the fact that you have a family who might even believe in God and be somewhat Christian and nice, you are incredibly wealthy, because a lot of people don't even have that. There's another story in the Bible. You might remember the prodigal son. Even had a little story and song about that. I remember growing up, kind of memorizing that. But the prodigal son, if you don't know it, this is a son that was fed up, didn't like his life, even though his life was really great. Had a father that loved him, a brother that did as well. And they actually had, wealth from the story. And instead, he thought grass would be green on the other side, wanted to go pursue his own thing, and packed his bags up and left his father behind. And the more he got of what he wanted or what he thought he needed, the less he wanted what he got. And it turns out that all he really needed was what he had back at home. So he does come back, and his father greets him with open arms, because that's usually what parents do when there is a prodigal son, someone coming back in their lives. And maybe that's you. Maybe you've struggled with a family member or a parent, brother, sister, and someone you haven't talked to in a while. Man, if it's tugging on you, I would start today. Apologize, even if you weren't even wrong. I've seen so much healing happen when someone takes that first step, just to go forgive and say, you know what, I was wrong. I never should have done this. Even if the other person was completely guilty and in the wrong, it takes sometimes a bolder and stronger person just to start the conversation, and that person will know who was wrong and who was right. People aren't stupid. They know deep down who was wrong or right, but just a simple apology and trying to start a communication again is huge. For me, like what I struggle with this whole story is just being myself. And I thankfully, I've figured that out over many years of not doing it. But even when we first started Salt Strong, I was trying to be other people. I was, trying to be, even with fishing, better than I was. And I wasn't. I mean, I think that's a reason a lot of people have been attracted to us is we weren't pros. We weren't just born pros. We had to figure this stuff out the hard way. And as soon as we became vulnerable, even with Unchurched, as soon as I became vulnerable and started sharing things that I struggle with, all of a sudden people trust you more and they like you more and they want to hear from you more. They can relate to you more instead of just getting up on a pedestal and saying, oh, I've just been the best forever and never make mistakes. I struggle with this all the time. The grass is greener. I mean, I just shared the story of this house, the house I'm recording in right now. I can't tell you how many times, especially when something breaks, I can't tell you how many times that I've wished that, oh man, if we only had their new home. And, we've got friends with some nice homes and some newer homes, a couple new construction homes. Like if only had that, I'd be happier. And yet I see problems that everyone has. None of that stuff just goes away because you have that. Even with businesses, even though we sold Salt Strong, I'm still running the business. And there's so many times like, man, if I only had that business, it'd be a whole lot easier. And they all have problems. Even as, we meet with my other CEO friends in C12, we all have problems. They're all different problems, but we all have problems. Grass is not greener. Don't get distracted by the shiny stuff. That was another big one that I wrote down when I heard this parable. A diamond, shiny stuff, right? Don't get distracted by the shiny stuff, especially if you have a mission and purpose. And if you don't, go back and listen to some of the podcasts we've talked about creating a clear mission and a vision, like what makes you happy? Where are you going, right? That's what a vision is. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It can shift. It will shift. But can you imagine getting in a car with a friend or a family member or a loved one, whoever it might be, and you're in the car, you're sitting there and you're like, where are we going? And like, I don't know, but we're just going to drive until we get there. And your next question should be, well, how are we going to know when we get there? I don't know. We'll just know. That's driving without a vision, right? The opposite would be having a very clear idea of where you're going and putting in the GPS and having step-by-step directions on how to get there. That's a very, very clear vision. And that's what we're called to do as leaders, as business leaders, as family leaders, as leaders in churches, et cetera, is to have a vision of where we're going. If our vision is to end up in heaven with God and with Jesus, we probably need to start acting that way, and building up a plan to do that. You can't just wait until the last minute and say, I hope we get there. So much of it, from what I've experienced in life in terms of happiness and fulfillment, has come from having that clear purpose, that clear mission and vision. And once again, it can change. My direction, if you will, at 30 is way different than it was here in my mid 40s. Completely different. A lot of that changes with family. And as you get older and more mature, and new opportunities happen, all of a sudden that vision can shift. But the most important part is having one in the first place. Otherwise, it is incredibly easy to get distracted by shiny stuff. Like in our business, just to put it in perspective, we do have a very clear vision. And we've even broken it down to 90-day increments. And so every 90 days, we have to say the top 3 things, each of us, that we're going to get done those 90 days. And that's 3 max. Sometimes it's only one big one. And guess what? We are not allowed to add anything else to it. There's nothing, no matter what happens, no exceptions. You cannot add anything else to that list over those 90 days. At day 91, you can start over and have a new list. But in those 90 days, you cannot add anything else. And here's the crazy part. It was so hard for us to do that at first. It was incredibly hard because we wanted to this thing just pop up and here's a cool opportunity. Those are all shiny stuff. Like, nope. We agreed, at least for 90 days, that these 3 things are the most important and nothing else. There's nothing that we can add, replace, exchange, no exceptions. And the more we've done that and stuck with it, now we're really good at it because we've been doing it for a few years. No wonder that Salt Strong grew so much. No wonder we were so focused. And I watch some of my friends that don't have that in their small businesses, and it's every week or every month, it's something new they're chasing. It is incredibly frustrating for your team members, or whether it's a family. It's so frustrating to wake up and have clarity on where you're going if that roadmap is changing every day, every week, every month, et cetera. So don't get distracted by the shiny stuff like diamonds. And then finally, this is the big one. Focus on who God made you to be. And that goes back to one of the issues I said about just being myself. God made me very specifically for a very specific reason, and He made you very specifically for a very specific reason. There is a reason that we're not all the same. We're not all a bunch of the same robots coming off an assembly line. There is a reason, a very specific reason, that God gave us all our special gifts, that God gave us, the body we have, the brain power, the friends, the family, the temperament, all that stuff was there for a reason. So take advantage of it. I think the worst thing that can happen is someone spends the majority of their life trying to be someone else, thinking the grass is always greener, and never focusing in on their own strengths because they're so worried about someone else. You literally will miss all the blessings. You'll miss all the amazing stuff in front of you, just like Ali did, if you're distracted by the shiny stuff and by what will my life look like if I had this, or if I had, this house or this kind of money or whatever it is. And it's so easy. It's probably the most common sin, if you will, to go down the path, because especially with social media and all the stuff out there, it's very easy to find someone who's got more money than you, or has, got a bigger house or a faster car, or a nicer car, or a better job, or whatever it is, bigger boat if you're into boating or kayak. I mean, it doesn't take much, right? I mean, you just go in the waterway for a second. If you're into boating, think, man, my boat's not so good anymore. But who cares, right? Are you happy with it? Yes. Why did you buy it in the first place? Stop being discontent with all the amazing things that God has put in your life. They are there for a reason. And I think the worst thing that can happen is we start getting discontent with them, and we start looking around, and before you know it, we've abandoned our family because we're focused on other stuff. We're now traveling the world in search of new wealth and new diamonds like Ali did. And before you know it, you're miserable to the point that, committing suicide. I mean, that's like the ultimate worst, right? Especially when you go back, forget even that the diamonds were on his property, but the fact that he left a family and his own wealth, having a nice family who loved him. I mean, how much more do we really, really need? I think it's a reason a lot of us, like I'll be honest, when I went to college, Georgia Tech, and left Winter Haven, I swore I would never come back here. Kind of like Ali, I thought that my riches and all the cool things I want to do in life were going to be far, far away from Winter Haven. And as I grew a little bit older, a little wiser, and got married and had a kid, I realized, man, it would be nice to be back in Winter Haven where my family is. I got people that love us and like us, and just a great community. And here I am, and my wife as well, and happiest we've ever been. I mean, literally, happiest I've ever been in my entire life. Here now that we have such an awesome support system and an awesome community and people that love us, and just real true friends, like the ones that will have your back no matter what. There is a lot of wealth in that, my friend. So focus on what you got. Don't be discontent because of something you might not have. God has you where you are for a reason. Enjoy it, love it, be yourself. Don't get distracted by the shiny stuff. And don't miss all the blessings right in front of you, because they are there. Love you guys. Hope this was helpful. Hopefully it hit the right person, the right nerves, etc. That's what I pray about in every one of these episodes, that God's just able to speak through me and give that message to someone who really, really needs it. Because I know I've needed this message many, many, many times in my life. Talk to you on the next episode. If you have any thoughts, questions, prayer requests, etc., hit me up. I love hearing from you guys on the weekends or anytime. Joe@saltstrong.com, Joe at saltstrong.com. Otherwise, I'll talk to you on the next episode.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul, it was